Welcome to lesson 25. This time around we are still doing division, but we're actually doing some rounding also. And we're still got some decimals going on just like we did with yesterday's. Yesterday's were fairly simple problems because everything came out evenly. When you look at this, you have 3 and 53 hundredths divided by 51. And if we worked that out, we might end up having to go a good long ways before we came up with the even number that it would go into without having a remainder. So we would keep, because we're working with the decimal, keep adding zeros for a good long time. In this case, what it's asking us to do is do an estimation. And so we can round these. And just think about that. What you choose to round these to might be different from the person sitting next to you. And that's okay, because you both will probably get pretty close to what the final answer would be if you worked it out old school style. So when we look at this and we think, 3 and 53 hundredths divided by 51. 51 is a big number, and 3 is not a big number. How many 51s can you fit into 3? You're going to have to cut these 51s into really small pieces in order to do that. So using that rounding thing that we did, or the place value thing that we've done in the past, let's take a look at this one, and we know that we can say 5 times 7 gets us 35. So let's go ahead and use that multiplication fact. And let's call this 35. So we're taking this and we're just saying 3.5. We're taking away that 1/100th, or the 300ths here. So 35, if we were going to take that and do the place value thing, it's actually going to become 35 tenths, because the 5 is in the tenths place. And what we're dividing that by now, instead of having 51, let's just call it 50. And so you remember yesterday also too, we were able to kind of change things so that then we were just looking at that 5. So if we take that 50 and we want to make the 0 go away, we want it to lose a place value, we're going to divide by 10. So it loses a place value. 50 divided by 10 goes into, you just get a 5. And now, if 35 loses a place value, instead of then having 35 tenths or 3 and 5 tenths, it's going to lose a place value. Instead of being 35 tenths, it's going to be 35 hundredths now, because it went down one further place value, hundredths. And so now if you just look at just this part right here, 5 goes into 35, 7 times 5 is 35, nothing left over. And then it's 7 hundredths, H-U-N-D-R-E-T-H-S, hundredths. When you write that, there's nothing in the ones place, nothing in the tenths place, and there's 7 in the hundredths place. So remember when I was talking about that 51 is going to have to become really, really small, because 3 divided by 51, boy, your answer is going to be quite small, isn't it? And 7 hundredths isn't very big. And it's really just kind of a rough estimate of what you're going to end up with when you do the division problem. Let's take a look now at the next one. I picked one with some kind of complicated numbers on this one, so maybe we could even come up with 2 possible estimates on this one. So I'm looking at this and I'm seeing 58, which is close to 60. And now I have to think about something that is close, that would be a multiple, for example, of 6. And I know that 6 times 10 gets me 60. 60 times 11 is 66. And so then if you think about 6 times 12, 6 times 12, 6 times 10 is 60, 6 times 2 is 12, 12 plus 60 is 72. So we could make this into 7 and 2 tenths and say that we are dividing by 60. Another way, potentially, to look at this would be to say, instead of going on up to 60, let's try one going down. Let's turn this into a 50. And so now we're thinking about this one over here. We could just say perhaps like 70, because we know that anything that ends in 0 is divisible by 5. So it's just 7.0 in that case. So it just got even a little bit more simple. Let's take a look at the first one right here, and I'll go ahead and just kind of switch colors even to make this a little bit more clear. We'll do the first one in yellow. So this one will be yellow. So now if we have 7.2 divided by 60, if I divide them both by 10, 7.2, it's going to lose a place value because we're dividing by 10. So the 7 will move from the ones place to the tenths place, the 2 from the tenths place to the hundredths place. If you divide it by 10, it gets rid of that 0, so then it just becomes 6. So let's go ahead and do that division problem over here. This is 72 hundredths. THS. And we're dividing by 6. I know 6 goes into 7 one time. You get a 6. The difference is a 1. You bring down your 2. Boom, 12. I know that 2 6s is equal to 12, so say 2. So 2 times 6 is 12. Now we're done. And it's 12 hundredths. 12 hundredths. 12 hundredths looks like that. Now let's grab another color and we'll do the other problem a little bit. Let's do green for this one. And so this one, if we do that divide by 10, we say we're dividing them both by 10, that means it's going to lose a place value. This is going to become 7 tenths. This is going to lose a place value and just become a 5. So now we have 7 divided by 5. Let's do the problem over here. So we have, and we're going to do it kind of old school style because I want to go ahead and keep going with the decimal with the zeros and stuff. So I know this decimal has to come straight up because what are we dividing into? This is tenths. So if we put the decimal here, we're keeping it so that it's tenths. I know I can only fit 1 5 into 7 because otherwise it's going to be too big. 5, 6, 7, 2 is different. Now we bring down a 0 because we can say 7 tenths, or we can say 70 hundredths, or we can say 700 thousandths, and it's actually all the same thing because a 0 is just a nothing. I know that 5 times 4 would get me 20. And so this one right here is 14 hundredths. This one right here is 12 hundredths. So they're both pretty close to each other. Both are accurate as far as estimates because we're pretty close. Now let's take a look at this third one. This is kind of the process of using one estimate to come up with other estimates. This one right here, we know that if it's 42 and we're going into 9 and some extra here, that if we say, let's see, 4 goes into 9, we know 40 and 40 gets us 80. So if we rounded this to 40, we would probably want to go ahead and go 80 with this one just because that way it's a little bit closer and easier to work with. So we're just going to call it an 8. And that we're dividing it by 40. Another possibility, what we could do would be to say 42, and if we have 2 of them, it's going to be, if we keep it exactly as is, then it would be 84, which is really kind of closer to 9.1. So another possibility, and I'll switch colors. We'll go yellow again. If we said instead of 9.1, if we rounded it to 8.4 divided by, and let's just keep it at 42. So now let's do the division problems, and we'll go ahead and go back to the green here. So for this one, we have, let's get rid of our 0. We're going to divide by 10. Divide by 10. So the 8's going to lose a place value. It's going to become 8/10. And the 40 is going to lose a place value, so it's just going to become a 4. And so here we have 8/10. And we're dividing it by 4. 4 goes in there 2 times, so 2/10 is the result. Now the next one, we'll go ahead and go with yellow again to do the next one. This one, what we're looking at here is 8.4 divided by 42. So let's go ahead and try that one like the old school style. So 42 into 8 2/10. Make my decimal a little more visible. We know that it doesn't fit into 8. 42 cannot fit into 8. It goes 0 times. So now we're looking at the whole thing, 82. And we were talking before, if you double the 4 and 40, you get 80. You double the 2, you get 4 or more. So we know that 4 times 2 is 8, 2 times 2 is 4. Oh, wait a second. Did we want to do that? No, we didn't really, actually. It's not going to happen that way. So what we could do would be to call this 41. Because then we double it, we get our 82. 2 times 1, 2. So we just changed our estimate right in the process. And that's okay. So 2/10. Look at that. 2/10. 2/10. We got the same thing both ways. So now if we take a look at this one it's still 42, but it's actually that we're going into a bigger number. So in that case, the answer isn't going to get so small, right? So you're actually going to say, then we have another place value to work with. So instead of it only going in 2/10 of a time, because 42, how many times does that fit into 9? 42 fits into 900. So this gained these 2 place values right here. So's our answer. It's going to go from being 2 with a decimal here to the decimal will move 1 place. That's 1 place value. And another place value. That's going to bring you 20. Let's just to kind of check and see if we're accurate on that. Just to see, let's go 42 times 20. Just to see how close we are. So 0 times 2, so all that's just 0. 0. And then 20 times 2, so we have to have a 0 here to account for 20. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 4 is 8. So 840 is pretty close to 913. So we are accurate. So our estimate for this one's going to be about, here's your about, 20. This one, the 9 has gained 1 place value. It's gone from the 1's place to the 10's place. So in that case, instead of moving 3 place values like it did there, it's only going to move 1 place value. So our estimate now can be 2. Instead of 2/10, it can just be 2. And think about that. 40 times 2 is going to get you 80, right? That's pretty close to 91. So that must be right. All right, so for homework tonight, here we go. Here's 3 of them, and it's asking you to estimate the quotient. I would like you this time around, because it's estimating, it's not so complicated, I would like you for tonight's homework is pick 2 of these 3. Just pick 2 of them. Okay? 14 minutes. Yay, I didn't hit 15. Have a great night. Bye.